When the Mormons came out to Utah, they were already living polygamy, and because of the Mormons' insistence that they had a higher law than the United States Constitution, the United States government became concerned that the Mormon church leaders were in a state of rebellion. So the government was sending out an army to quell the rebellion of the Mormons out here, to make them submit to the federal law. And so there was great tension here amongst the Mormons. And at the time that this happened, one of the Mormon apostles, Parley Pratt, had gone on a mission trip back to Arkansas. He had earlier married a woman in polygamy who had a living husband. When Pratt was back in Arkansas, this woman's husband traced him down, and with an accomplice came up on Pratt when they were riding down the road on their horses, came up and fired on Pratt, and they killed him. So this was an angry, vengeful husband taking vengeance out on Parley Pratt. Well, word came back to Salt Lake that Parley Pratt, one of their apostles, had been killed in Arkansas, and of course one of the things behind the killing was polygamy.
In April of 1857, about 147 immigrants left northwest Arkansas en route to California.
When they came through the territory, you had the Mormons already in this fever mode that they were at war with the United States government. Their apostle had just been killed back in the States, and they were in this fever pitch of rebellion against all these acts. So when this wagon train went through Utah, they focused all of this anger and frustration that had been building on this wagon train, and they held them accountable for the death of Parley Pratt.
Of course, the Vancher Baker Party and the immigrants on that train had nothing to do with the assassination of Parley Pratt. On about September 5th or 6th, the wagon train was attacked by what they believed were Indians. The immigrants circled their wagons, dug defensive pits, sank their wagons down. They were then held under siege for about 5 days without being able to get water. After that time, a gentleman named John D. Lee approached the camp under a flag of truce, offered them safe passage if they would agree to lay down their weapons.
But they felt, well, you know, we're between a rock and a hard place. We got to trust the Mormons, our only hope. Hopefully these men are men of their honor and will truly do what they said and give a safe passage. And so they arranged for the wagon train to line up with the wounded from the earlier attack in the wagons going first, then children in wagons, and the women, and behind them were the men. And they had Mormon men come out. One Mormon man stood next to a non-Mormon guy from the wagon train in this long line of people, and at a given signal, some men in ambush jumped out and killed the wounded in the wagons, and children above the age of 8 and all the women.
Each of the adult men had a male Mormon escort. They turned and executed the men.
The men walking single file next to a non-Mormon man just turned and shot point blank at these unarmed men. And so within just a couple of minutes, over 120 people, women and children and men, were wiped out in this massacre.
I have blood ties to 26, I believe, of the massacred members of the Fancher train.
My own great-grandfather participated in the Mountain Meadow Massacre, well, on both sides of my mom's family. On the one side, I've got the Brigham Young side, and Brigham Young evidently set up the scenario for the massacre to happen. And on the other side of my mom's family are men that actually participated in the massacre. It was partly brought about because of polygamy, in that Pratt's death was a polygamous situation. Also, the federal government was sending out troops because it felt the Mormons were in rebellion and trying to stop polygamy in their political agenda. So polygamy was behind all of these issues. But the Mountain Meadow Massacre is one of the really dark spots in Mormon history.
September 11th seems to be a bad day for innocent people to be slaughtered, and a good day for religious extremists to act on. I can't even fathom what would bring people to kill the men, maybe, to kill the women and children, and then to do it so cowardly as to offer them safe passage and have them lay down their weapons, and then to portray folks like that. I don't know. I don't know how you get to that place and justify that with any theology.